live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
A pleasant evening and a very warm welcome to the national news on Rupavahini Channel I. I'm Dilanjali Ananda. Joining me is Clifford Richards. And these are the top stories which have made headlines for tonight. The President emphasizes that his aim is to gather everyone without any differences on behalf of the country. Mahasangha says that President as a visionary leader is certain to build the country. The Paddy Marketing Board purchases 844 metric tons of paddy from farmers during the last 3 days. The number of trains and journeys to Jaffna will be increased. The Minister of Power and Energy says protests against restructuring plans of Petroleum Corporation and the Electricity Board are baseless. 21 persons killed in a bomb attack at a hotel in Mogadishu, Somalia.
And topping the stories this evening, the Chief Prelate of the Mihintale Rajamahawihare, the Venerable Dr. Walawahanggunawave Dhammaratna Thera says that the President, Ranil Wickremesinghe, is certain to build the country. He has pointed out that the President, who has accepted the responsibility as a visionary leader, can definitely do so. The President went to Mihintale's sacred area this morning and called on the Chief Prelate after taking part in religious observances. The Venerable Dhammaratna Thera invoked blessings on the President and handed over the Mihintala scroll to the President. The Prelate said that although there was a country, there was no law in the country, and appreciated the steps taken by the President to implement law in the country again. The President engaged in religious practices at the Mihintala temple and exchanged views with the people who were there and towards the sacred area as well. The President, who is engaged in religious observances at the historic Anuradhapura sacred area, visited several temples yesterday. He called on the Venerable Dr. Nugathanne Panyananda Thera at the Sambuddha temple. The Chief Prelate, the Chief Sanganayaka of the North and Central provinces, the Venerable Dr. Nugathanne Panyananda Thera, expressed his blessings for the government's future program. The President said that when other countries in the world were moving forward, Sri Lanka went back as they did not work in unity. He said that his aim is to gather everyone for the future of the country by correcting the historic fault. The Venerable Nugathanne Panyananda Thera said that discipline is the first task to build a country. Without discipline, the country will never move forward. He said that discipline in the teaching profession destroyed when the teacher is at the higher rank in society commenced protests. The Thera praised the President for taking steps to build the discipline which was affected during the recent incidents again. President Ranil Wickremesinghe paid homage to the Anuradhapura historic Jetavanarama. Chief Prelate of the temple, the Venerable Ihala Halmillave Ratanapala Thera, invoked blessings on the President. He requested the President to take leadership to perform the duty of developing the country with a collective program as the people are waiting with expectations. He requested the President take steps to improve the living conditions of the farming community while appreciating the President's efforts of solving the people's problems collectively. Thereafter, the President visited the registrar of the Abhayagiriya Rajamahawihare, the Venerable Dr. Kallanchiye Ratnasiri Thera. The President said that the government has identified tourism industry to develop the economy in the area and has paid special program to retain tourists closer to the Anuradhapura, Polonnaru and Sigiri areas. The President visited the Isurumuniya Rajamahawihara and called on the chief monk, the Venerable Dr. Mathava Sumangalathera. He wished the President well and will get the strength to provide solutions to the problems of the people by controlling problems of the country. The President took part in religious practices at the Isurumuniya temple and he was blessed by chanting Setpirit. The President exchanged views with the local and foreign tourists who were at the temple.
When the Andhra Kagal go there. Hi. Come, stand here. Okay.
Mr. President. Hi, Mr. President.
How are you? What's your name?
Hi.
Okay. What city in Netherlands?
Deventer. Beautiful country.
Everyone seen the Dutch fort?
Yes.
This is a very rare thing. Where did you go? Gold? You have seen the Dutch fort at Hammond Hill, Jafta.
I didn't see that.
No, you can see that. Have you had Dutch food here?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
When the Hattial? මොකක්ද අඩු දැන් පෙට්‍රල් ආට තාම නැත්තේ අලි ප්‍රශ්නේ තව තියෙන්නේ අලි ප්‍රශ්නේ මටත් තියෙනවා දැන් නැද දෙකින් වල මම අපි මහා කන්නේට එවනවා දැන් ඕනයි වල දෙන්න ඊට තරගෙන දැන් එච්චර තමයි ඕනේ තෙල්ලොත් තරන් දෙන්න මෙලින්ම මහකන්නේ හරියට කොහොමද අපිට ටිකක් සහනයක් ඕන බලන්නේ සම්පූර්ණ මහකන්නේ කරන්නේ නැත්නම් ඉතින් කොයි මරණී නෑ දෙන්න මේ සැරේ.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe went to the Anuradhapura Sri Sarananda Mahapirivara and exchanged views with the chief monk of the temple, the Venerable Attabage Vimalanyana Thera.
Now, President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the United National Party taught the historic lesson on gathering everyone on behalf of the country without political party colours, race and religious differences. Addressing the Anuradhapura District Development Council today, the President said his aim is to gather everyone for the country in future as well. The District Development Council meeting took place at a hall in Anuradhapura. The aim was to look into development activities of the district and to discuss future plans. Public representatives representing Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Sri Lanka Freedom Party, state officials and a group of people were present on the occasion. Addressing the meeting, the President invited everyone to join to build the country by working together. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has said that Anuradhapura is a sacred city and it should be developed as historic city to attract tourists. A committee will be appointed in that regard. Advisors from France will be brought. The main task of that is excavation of Mahavihara. We commenced to build Malwatu Oya Reservoir then. It has been postponed today due to the economic situation. During that period, archaeological department and universities were deployed to find our beginning. People are under a huge pressure since the economy has reduced by 8% and the people will experience the results in the next few days. The first place to revive economic development is the Maha season. It is successful. The economy can be pushed into the place where it was. Therefore, the government is giving a main place for the farming in the Maha season. Various measures have been taken to issue fertilizer with foreign aid. We have been given all aid from foreign countries and the economic development can be commenced through this aid. There are 9 officials at ground level in each area. They will be divided into Gramanidadari divisions and they should give reports on activities. Everyone should work. People expect solutions from the politicians and those should be given. We must understand that the people hope everyone will get together and reduce the pressure. Everyone should get together at village level and political parties should perform. Then the people will decide to give power.
පෝර දෙන්න පෝර වලට අපි දැන් ආධාර ලැබිලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම පෝර ගේන්ට යනවා. පෝර ගැන අපිට පුළුවන් සහනයක් ලබා දෙන්න. අපිට ඕන සියලු දෙනාම සාර්ථකව මහා අස්වැන්නක් ලබා දෙන්න. එතකොට මේ පීඩනය අඩු කරන්න පුළුවන්.
Now, the Paddy Marketing Board has purchased 844 metric tons of paddy during the past 3 days from the farmers.
Well, it has purchased 303 metric tons of paddy yesterday, and 73 storage facilities have been kept open to purchase paddy. Minister Mahinda Amaravira has instructed the Paddy Marketing Board to continue purchasing of paddy according to the minimum price of the government. The farmers were facing difficulties as certain rice mill owners were purchasing paddy harvest of the yellow season at low prices. Therefore, the Ministry of Agriculture commenced purchasing of paddy through the Paddy Marketing Board. A kilo of paddy has reduced between 90 to 20 rupees in the market at present. Therefore, steps were taken to purchase paddy under a minimum price from the farmers. A kilo of Nadu paddy is purchased for 120, a kilo of Samba paddy for 125, and a kilogram of Kiri Samba for 130 rupees. 2,000 million rupees have been allocated to purchase paddy under the first phase. Chairman of PNB, Neil Alvis, said that 844 metric tons of paddy were purchased from the farmers during the past 3 days. Purchasing of paddy in the Northern Province is taking place at 13 centres. Northern Province Regional Manager PMB WMNR Veerasekara said that the paddy purchasing took place successfully during the last 2 days in Vavuniya, Kilinochchi and Mullaitiru districts.
Now, the government has paid its attention on implementing a cultivation program by handing over paddy fields for 5 years to persons without paddy fields. If the owners do not cultivate their paddy fields, the aim is to cultivate all abandoned paddy fields. There are about 100,000 acres of abandoned paddy fields in the country, and most of those are in the Western Province. The Agrarian Services Department says that 50,000 acres of paddy can be cultivated and the rest cannot be used. Steps have been taken to cultivate 21,200 acres of abandoned paddy fields in the Maha season in other districts. A discussion in this regard took place under the patronage of Minister Mahinda Amaravira. The possibility to cultivate abandoned paddy fields according to Indonesian Sojan system in the Western Province was looked into. It was disclosed that the discussion that vegetable and fruit can be cultivated in marshy lands under the Sojan system and freshwater fish can be bred in between the cultivations.
Minister Kanchana Wijesekara says that protests levelled against restructuring of the Petroleum Corporation and also the Ceylon Electricity Board are baseless. The minister has pointed out that the trade union representatives were presented with the restructuring plans earlier. The minister said that Petroleum Trade Unions Collective has organized a protest tomorrow against the proposed reforms. The minister has said that he would not challenge their right to conduct protests, but the measures to restructure petroleum and electricity sectors will be continued. Meanwhile, the number of vehicles registered under the National Fuel Pass or the QR code has exceeded 6 million. The Sapugaskanda oil refinery is functioning again from yesterday. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said that a ship carrying 120,000 metric tons of crude oil is scheduled to arrive in the country next month, and the refinery can function for 40 days in full capacity with that oil. The Navy has seized 3 suspects and 2 lorries with 2,030 litres of petrol prepared to be transported illegally. The Navy has found the petrol during a search operation at Kalpitia area. The value of the petrol is said to be more than 900,000 rupees. The Public Utilities Commission says that there will be a power cut that's for 3 hours from tomorrow. Accordingly, a power cut of 1 hour and 40 minutes will be imposed during the afternoon, and another power cut of 1 hour and 20 minutes will be imposed in the night. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says that there is a parliament elected through a people's mandate in the country, and the opinion of the parliament is that everyone should work in unity when the country is facing its most serious crisis in history.
He expressed these views to media after visiting temples in Avisavela today and receiving blessings. The Prime Minister went to Puakpitia Pahanalanga Ranvala Sri Mahaviharaya, called over on Chief Sanganayaka of Siana Hevagama and Hapitigama Korala Venerable Madanwala Anandathera and received his blessings. Thereafter, the Prime Minister went to Sri Sudharmarama Pirivena Vihara, called over on the chief monk of the temple, Venerable Devalegama Sumangala Thera, and received his blessings. A token donation of stationery for the Dhamma school of the temple was also made. Thereafter, the Prime Minister met chief monk of Manikyavatta Sri Vijayarama Temple, Venerable Gonagala Jinaratna Thera. The Prime Minister exchanged views with the students of the Dhamma school of the temple. MP Yadamani Gunawardena was present on this occasion. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that various parties have come into an agreement about a program that can be implemented in an all-party government. Although everyone do not accept portfolios, the country will be rescued from the economic and financial crisis with a consensus of all.
Well, if you take the northern line, this is definitely good for you. Minister Bandula Gunawardena says that the number of trains and journeys to Jaffna from Colombo will be increased. He mentioned this when he took part in an observation tour yesterday to look into the public transport services in Jaffna. The minister, who left for Jaffna from train commenced from Colombo Fort, held discussions with officials about the transport shortcomings. The minister and the group were received at the Jaffna railway station by a group of people, including Minister Douglas Devananda and MP Angajan Ramanathan. Thereafter, the minister inspected Jaffna SLTB depots and several institutions. The minister instructed officials to repair the discarded buses and definitely a way to take action to purchase spare parts. The minister said that several new train services were launched. The train service was launched for office workers who go for work from Jaffna to Kankasanture with the fuel crisis. Measures will be taken to enhance train services to Jaffna. It is expected to continuously improve the services.
Now, Samagijana Balavege has called a press conference in Colombo today. MP Imtiaz Bakir Marker said that youth and knowledgeable citizens around the country took to the streets stating they need a new political culture. They said it is necessary to listen to the voice of the people. Photographs of the protesters who took part in the struggle are published, requesting to find them.
Leader of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, MP Rauf Hakim, says that support will be given to an all-party government, either being in the governing party or from the opposition. He mentioned this to media following a function in Colombo yesterday. Well, MP Rauf Hakim said that they have been invited for the all-party government and they are holding discussions about that. If a national government is to be established, it can be considered under certain conditions. The President personally spoke to me. A stable political solution is needed if the country is to overcome the situation. The President, as a veteran politician and with a foresight, can understand the seriousness of the situation. After being appointed to the post, he has controlled the unrest in the country. There is hope in the country. An all-party government must be established to maintain it in the long term. The US ambassador in Sri Lanka, Julie Chang, says that Sri Lanka needs to ensure political stability to renegotiate with its debtors and also the IMF to put the country back on the path towards security and prosperity.
She made these remarks while addressing the annual convocation of the Bandaranaike Centre for International Studies yesterday. The annual convocation of the Bandaranaike Centre for International Studies was held at the BMICH. The event was held under the patronage of US Ambassador in Colombo, Julie Chang. She delivered the keynote address of the ceremony. Around 400 certificates in international relations programs were awarded, medals of distinction and certificates. Many foreign envoys and other dignitaries were present at this occasion.
Best Student Awards.
The most common conversation I have had with leaders here is that Sri Lanka needs to reach a point of political stability so that it can renegotiate with its debtors and put itself on a path towards security and prosperity for all. Let me be honest, there are no quick fixes, no magic wand for the challenges this nation is facing. But Sri Lanka can move forward by committing to debt restructuring programs with the IMF and sticking with it. There will be unpopular decisions that need to be made, like increasing electricity tariffs. But I'm optimistic that Sri Lanka can grow its economy and attract investors and tourists again. So the truth is that to solve big problems, you need to take steady and coordinated steps in all the right directions. Take that first small, courageous step. Addressing climate change is something we can ignore or focus our efforts only on our own nations. Instead, it's got to be an all-hands-on-deck effort. Our future depends on the collective choices we make today. At home, the U.S. is tackling climate change on a massive scale. President Biden just signed into law the most consequential climate change mitigation measures ever taken in our history. The U.S. is also investing in clean energy jobs and technologies that offer creative solutions to capping carbon emissions. And we're working with other countries around the world to curb global carbon emissions through diplomacy and public-private partnerships, including investing in renewable energy and phasing out coal. We're working very actively to bring those technologies and those opportunities to Sri Lanka. And the United States remains a partner that hopes to see your country thrive. As fellow democracies, as Indo-Pacific nations, as trading partners, as countries that share a broad range of interests, our bilateral relationship is deep and essential. We continue to show up to help in these times. We just announced over $180 million in new funding and assistance since June, and we hope to announce more assistance in the coming weeks. We believe in this country. I believe in this country, in the strengths and values and dreams of the Sri Lankan people.
Moving on with more local stories, police media spokesman SSP Nihal Thalduwa says that the three, including the convener of the Inter-University Students Federation, Wasantha Mudaliye, have been taken into custody under the CID, and he mentioned this during a media briefing today. The police media spokesman said that the IGP has instructed to look into the series of incidents. They have reported on a suspicion of a conspiracy against the state. The CID DIG has instructed to conduct investigations considering the report. The CID is conducting investigations about the three suspects who were arrested. Investigators have engaged in any anti-state activities or terrorist activities. If there are revelations, Terrorist Investigation Division will be handed over to take over the investigations.
But the Elections Commission says that they are prepared to conduct elections that have been postponed as soon as possible. Chairman of the Commission, Nimal Punchiheva, said that the Commission has paid its attention on making necessary amendments. Chairman of Elections Commission, Nimal Punchiheva, said that there cannot be a system change in Parliament without necessary attitudes, feelings and activities. A methodology should be prepared to elect public representatives in a different way. The representative methodology should be changed for that. That is why the Commission states it is compulsory to represent youth and women in this representation. The Election Commission is there to conduct elections. The Provincial Council election should be held as soon as possible. There is an agreement in Parliament to conduct the Provincial Council election according to the old system with a legal amendment. Local government election has been postponed by 1 year. After the 20th of September, the Elections Commission will get the power. An amendment would be made to the Local Government Act to increase youth representation. The chairman mentioned this while attending a program organized jointly with the PAFRIL and Sri Lanka Foundation Institute under the theme Creating Youth with Responsibilities. And that's all the news we have from home. Stay tuned for international stories coming up next.
හොඳම දේ විශ්වාසයෙන් ට්‍රීට් කරන්න. Prima Treats. Life is a treat.
back to the news and straight away heading to the mayhem situation in Somalia. Somali forces claim to have defeated the militants who stormed the hotel in the capital after a bloody siege. At least 21 people were killed in the deadly 30-hour ordeal, according to local media reports, that is. But the death toll could be even higher, they say. The assailants used explosives to gain entry to Mogadishu's Hyatt Hotel on Friday before violently taking control and holding guests hostage overnight. Islamist extremist group Al-Shabaab has taken responsibility for the attack. The security forces have ended the siege now and the gunmen are dead. We've had no incoming gunfire from the building in the past hour, said an unnamed official. The hotel has been largely destroyed following the intense bombardment by security forces throughout last Saturday night and Saturday, with videos showing explosions and smoke billowing from the building's rooftop. A police officer told that 2 car bombs had been used to gain access to the hotel on Friday evening, targeting its front barrier and gate. Director of Mogadishu's main trauma hospital told that the facility is treating at least 117 people wounded in the hotel attack and a separate mortar strike on another area on the capital. An affiliate of Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, has engaged in long-running conflict with the federal government. The attack on Friday marks the first in the capital by the group since Somalia's new president was elected in May.
Now, the medical experts in India are battling the spread of yet another virus in the country. According to the Lancet study revealed yesterday, India has recorded as many as 82 cases of tomato flu or tomato fever since the virus was first reported in Kerala on May 6th. The common infectious disease targeting mostly children aged 1 to 5 years and immunocompromised adults could also be a new variant of hand, foot and mouth disease. Some case studies have even shown hand, foot and mouth disease in immunocompetent adults, said the study. The tomato flu was first identified in Kerala's Kollam district on May 6, 2022. The study said the tomato flu virus shows symptoms similar to those of COVID-19, but the virus is not related to SARS-CoV-2. Rather than a viral infection, tomato children flu could be an after effect of chikungunya or dengue fever in children. The flu was named on the basis of the eruption of red and painful blisters all over the body that gradually enlarged to the size of a tomato. The primary symptoms observed in children with tomato flu are similar to those of chikungunya, which include high fever, rashes and intense pain in joints. Some of its symptoms like body aches, fever and fatigue are similar to those experienced by COVID-19 patients. Other symptoms include joint swelling, nausea, diarrhea, dehydration, joint aches and high fever. The treatment for tomato flu is similar to the treatment of chikungunya, dengue and hand, foot and mouth disease. Patients are advised to isolate, rest and have plenty of fluid and sponge with hot water for the relief of irritation and rashes.
Well, looks quite frightening there. And with that story, we're moving on to a story about food scarcity and to Ethiopia, where nearly 500,000 people, or half of the people in the war-torn Tigray region of Ethiopia, are suffering from a severe lack of food. The World Food Programme said that rates of malnutrition have skyrocketed even though humanitarian convoys allowed to enter the Tigray region. Well, since November 2020, the region has been a center of conflict between the Tigray's People Liberation Front and the current administration of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. The fighting has plunged the region into a humanitarian crisis. The WFP found that 89% of Tigray's region's 6 million people lack consistent access to food. A total 47% are deemed severely food insecure. Across Tigray region, plus the neighboring Afar and Amhara regions, an estimated 13 million people need food aid urgently. The report has indicated that hunger has deepened, rates of malnutrition have skyrocketed, and the situation is set to worsen as people enter peak hunger season until this year's harvest season in October.
Prima Kotomi Fantan.
On sports news, it's from the international cricket arena, and it's been reported that the Pakistani fast bowler Shaheenza Afridi is not going to be able to participate in the Asian Cup due to an injury.
Shaheenza Afridi is the main fast bowler of the Pakistani cricket team. He's suffering from a leg injury, and the medical committee has said that he has to stay out of ground for 6 weeks. The medical committee believes that he will be able to take part in the T20 Cricket World Cup, which will commence in October. The Asian Cup will commence on the 27th at the United Arab Emirates. The Champions League football tournament organised by the Sri Lanka Football Federation commenced yesterday for the 10th week. Accordingly, the match between New Star and Negombo youth teams was played at Sugadasa Stadium in Colombo. The first half, both teams could not score goals. The match ended giving the victory for Negombo youth as 2-1. According to the points table of the tournament, Java Lane and Matra City teams were leading. And now to the big match season. The big match between Matugama CWW Kannangara Central College and Horana Sripali College ended in a draw. Batting first, the Matugama Sri WW Kannangara Central College scored 270 in their first innings. At the close of play yesterday, Horana Sripali was 288 for 9 wickets. Binu Jinadit was adjudged the man of the match. Tatsita Devmit of Matugama Kannangara College was adjudged the best batsman, while Dasun Gunasinghe of the same school was adjudged the best bowler.
That's all the news we have for tonight.
Yes. Do enjoy the rest of the programs, and together with Dulanjali, this is Clifford wishing you a very good night. Take care.
Good night.